So far, the response to Instatic has been incredible. We're so grateful for the positive reception it's gotten, with tens of thousands of views on the launch video, hundreds of comments, over 2,000 new subscribers, and best of all, rocketing the GitHub repository to 2,000 stars. And all of that in only the first week. It's clear that you're just as excited about Instatic as we are. That's why this video is going to show you exactly how to get started with it, so you can begin exploring, building, and providing feedback to help us shape its future. First, let's talk about deploying Instatic. One common question we've received is whether you can deploy Instatic to serverless platforms like Versal or Netlify. Because Instatic requires a persistent server, it currently doesn't work on those platforms. That being said, we're open to exploring the possibility of a serverless option for Instatic if there's enough interest, so keep the questions and feedback coming. Now, I want to show you the current deployment options that are available and how to use them. Instatic can be hosted anywhere that supports Docker, and you can even run it locally. But Railway is by far the easiest way to deploy a live Instatic instance. We recommend Railway because it's a solid platform and works perfectly with Instatic. They also support open source projects like ours with their kickback program, which gives us a percentage of revenue earned from deployments using the Instatic template on their platform. Plus, their free plan is enough to get started with Instatic. To deploy Instatic to Railway, open up the Instatic GitHub repository. Click the one-click deploy link, then click the deploy link next to either the Railway SQLite or the Railway Postgres option. SQLite is sufficient for most sites, but Postgres is a good option if you plan to have multiple editors working concurrently on the site or want managed database backups. Once you've clicked deploy, you'll be taken to Railway. Next, click deploy now and either sign into your Railway account or create one. After you've signed in, you'll be able to choose which project to deploy your Instatic instance to. View and alter the configuration if you want, though the defaults are fine for most sites. And finally, click deploy to launch your Instatic instance on Railway. It'll create the project, environment, and deploy the Instatic image for you. Once it's done, the status will change to online. You can click the Instatic service to access the Railway URL for this instance. Click it to launch Instatic. The first time you access this URL, you'll be prompted to choose a site name and an email address and password for your admin account. After entering those details, click the Create Admin button and you'll land on your Instatic dashboard. Now you're ready to start building your site. You can also deploy Instatic to any virtual private server or VPS that supports Docker and offers x86 64 or AMD 64 architecture. Avoid ARM unless you plan to build Instatic from the source files. I'll show you how to deploy an Instatic instance to a DigitalOcean droplet. First, create an account or log in to DigitalOcean. Under Projects, create a new project to hold your new droplet. If it asks you about moving resources, you can skip that. Next, in your new project, under the Resources tab, choose Create Droplet. Now you'll be able to choose your data center region. I'm going to stick with the default. Under Choose an Image, go to Solutions and choose the Docker image from the marketplace. This will set up Docker for you, which is a requirement for deploying Instatic. Finally, choose your droplet plan. For this demonstration, I'll go with one of the basic options, but you should choose one that has enough resources for your intended use case. Now we need to set up our authentication. The SSH option is recommended. To set it up, click Add SSH key and follow the instructions provided. There are more options that you can tweak, but you don't need to unless you know what you're doing and need to make specific changes. Click Create Droplet. After a few moments, you'll see the droplet's public IP. Copy the IP because we'll need it soon. Now you're ready to deploy Instatic to your droplet. Go back to the Instatic GitHub repository, navigate to the latest release in the sidebar, then download the release bundle tar.gz file from the assets area. Now fire up a new terminal window and connect via SSH with the command SSH root at and your server's IP. It may ask for the passkey you created when you set up the SSH key. Type it in and press enter. Now you're connected to your droplet via SSH. Let's transfer the tar.gz release bundle over to your droplet via SCP. If you're on Windows or prefer a more visual method, you can use FileZilla or similar to do this. Open a new terminal window and run the scp command to transfer the bundle via SSH. The command is scp, then the path to the bundle, then root at and your server IP, :/root/. This will put the file onto the server for you. Now open up the terminal where you were connected via SSH. You may need to reconnect. Just hit the up arrow and run the SSH command again and enter your passkey. Run ls to verify the bundle is there. Next, run mkdir with the -p flag to create a deployment directory. I'll use opt/instatic for this example. Then extract the bundle into the new deployment directory with the command tar-xzf instatic-star-release-bundle.tar.gz C, and then the path you want to extract it into, which is opt/instatic followed by --strip-components == 1 to ensure everything is extracted straight into the target directory. Navigate into that folder with the command cd/opt/instatic to make sure everything extracted properly. Then run a quick docker compose check with the command docker compose version. This just verifies that Docker is set up and available for us. Before we finish our deployment, let's create our Instatic secret key. This is used for reversible server secrets such as AI credentials, plugin secret settings, and TOTP MFA seeds. So it's good to get it set up at this stage before any of that is in play. From inside your new Instatic directory, run openSSL rand -base64-32, then copy the generated value. Now copy the example environment file to a .env file with the command cp.env.production.example -.env. Next, use nano.env to edit your environment file, where we'll store our Instatic secret key. You should see some data in the .env file already. Find instatic_secret_key under the AI credential encryption description and paste in the key you generated previously. It should go after the equal sign. Save and exit by pressing Ctrl+X, then Y, then enter, and enter again if prompted. You can make sure the key was saved by running cat --.env from your Instatic directory, which will show you the .env file's contents. Now we're ready to run the command to fire everything up, which we can just copy from the deployment instructions. Make sure to replace the version placeholder with the version you want to deploy. In my case, it's 0.0.10. Once you run this command, you'll see the process begin, and when it's completed, you'll see a number of items with check marks. That means you're done. Now you can access it by going to your Droplets public IP on port 3001 in a browser, which will prompt you to create your Instatic admin account. You're ready to start building with Instatic on your own VPS. When you're ready, you can also check out our documentation for details on setting up a domain and SSL for your Instatic instance. You can also fire up a local Instatic instance. This is a great way to try it out without having to sign up for a hosting platform. First, make sure you have Bun installed. You can install this using npm or your package manager of choice. Next, go to the Instatic GitHub repository and grab the web URL for the repo. Now open a terminal and navigate to the directory where you want to set up Instatic. Then run gh-repo-clone with the Instatic GitHub URL to pull down the repository. Once that's done, run bun install from the repository directory. Finally, run bun run dev and you'll be able to access your Instatic instance via the indicated localhost URL and port, where you'll be prompted to set up your site and admin account. After doing that, you can begin building your local Instatic site. Now that your site is deployed, it's time to take a look at how the Instatic builder works. Visit your site URL with /admin appended to access the dashboard. You'll see a few areas with helpful info, but we want to jump over to the Site tab where the Instatic Visual Builder lives. The first thing you'll see is a blank multi-breakpoint canvas. If you're not sure which page you're editing, open the Explorer panel, then the Site tab, and you'll see the page that's currently selected. Now it's time to start designing. If you want to, you can design from scratch by inserting modules, adding classes, and styling everything as you see fit. To insert a module, right-click the canvas and choose a module from the Insert Module Here submenu. I'll add a container, a couple of text elements, and a button. Now I can style each of these by adding a class. Let's add a class to the container on the right-hand side above all of the container's properties. Once the class is added, we can tweak anything we want. Position, size, spacing, typography, background, border, effects, and interaction settings like cursor type. Basically, any CSS property we might want to manipulate is available in the interface. We can also add custom properties. But for this container, I just want to add some spacing. So we'll go over to the Spacing tab, and we'll add 64 pixels of padding to the top and bottom, and 128 pixels on the left and right. Then, let's style our text elements a bit using the same method. Add a class, then tweak the appropriate CSS properties. And we'll style the button a little bit as well. As you can see, this very basic design is coming together, and the interface gives us all the tools we need to design from scratch. But if you want to unlock the full power of Instatic, you should start with a design system. That's where the framework panel comes in. Here you can set up your colors, typography options and scales, and spacing values as reusable CSS variables that are easily accessible throughout the interface. By establishing your framework first, either by importing the values from the included core framework or by setting up your own, your design will be consistent and easy to tweak later. As you continue working on your site, your changes are auto-saved as drafts. To lock in your changes and view them on the front end, hit the Publish button near the top right. If you need to make a responsive tweak, just scroll over to the breakpoint you want to edit and click it. Now you're making changes for that breakpoint. Now you know enough to start building your own designs from the ground up. But one of Instatic's secret weapons is its ability to import complete sites or raw HTML. Let's take a look at that next. If you have a site template comprised of static HTML, CSS, and JavaScript files, you can import it using the Site Import option. But LLMs have become really good at creating designs. So let's look at what it's like to take a design from image to static files to Instatic site in just a few minutes. First, I'll grab an image of a design I like and want to base my new design off of. I'll add this to Codex with the instructions to turn it into a static site with one index.html file and one styles.css file, with a header, footer, and a few sections. I'll also ask it to generate any needed images and put them into an assets subfolder. Once that's done, I'll hop into Instatic and hit Command or Control+K, type import, and choose the import site option. I'll drop in the folder containing the static website files that Codex generated. Take a look over all the items that will be imported and click Continue. If there are any conflicts with existing page slugs, class names, or design tokens, I'll be able to choose whether I want to resolve the conflicts by renaming, skipping, or overwriting. Once the import is completed, we'll see our design inside Instatic, where we can make styling changes and adjust the content as needed. You can also import individual bits of HTML if you want to grab a section from other websites or templates. Do this by pressing Command or Control+K and choosing the Import HTML option. Instatic also allows you to create templates. This is useful for things like headers and footers that you want to use site-wide, with different content in between depending on which page you're viewing. Templates are also used to display content from things like blog posts or custom post types. Let's copy our header, then create a new template called main. Now we can paste in the header. Then we can add a content outlet element, which allows the content of the page we're viewing to show within our template. Let's copy and paste the footer into the template as well. Then we can return to our fully designed page, remove the redundant header and footer, and you can see the header and footer from the main template are being applied. If we add a new page, they'll be applied there as well. You can also choose to apply apply templates to only specific post types or the 404 page. Components offer another layer of reusability, allowing you to create predefined designs with editable parameters. For instance, this testimonial card might be reused across the site in various places. I can select it, click Componentize near the top right, give it a name, and now I'm editing it as a component. Any changes I make here will affect all instances of this component anywhere on the site, but I can designate editable parameters so that I can update content on a per instance basis. For instance, if I want to be able to change the number of stars shown, I can click the Expose as Component Param button next to the text field for the stars element, name it stars, and now it will be editable when I select this component in my designs. I can do the same for the testimonial text, name, and position and company text. Now, if I return to my design and click the testimonial card, I'm only able to edit those parameters, while everything else is coming from the component itself. Instatic also fully supports custom JavaScript and style sheets as well. From the Explorer panel, go to the Code tab. Here, you can see all existing style sheets and JavaScript files, as well as add new ones. For instance, I've got the Motion Page SDK loaded up here, as well as a custom animation I built in the desktop app. But I want to make some CSS tweaks, so I'll add a new style sheet. I can drag the style sheet editor around to better see what I'm working on, and it stays open when I click elements to check their selectors. And every change I make is immediately visible in the preview, so there's no guesswork when writing your custom CSS inside an Instatic style sheet. There's a lot more that Instatic can do, including custom post types, data collections, and other powerful CMS features. But these basics will get you started on building your own sites and exploring all of the possibilities. As you can see, we went from nothing to a great looking static site in no time thanks to the tools and capabilities Instatic provides. If you're ready to try Instatic yourself, visit instatic.com. And don't forget to star the GitHub repository by clicking the star icon near the top right.